Tom Crawford, your son is a college football coach, and you've seen a lot of transitions over the years. Hurt feelings today felt all the way from Corvallis to East Lansing. What's the best way for a coach to say goodbye?
Like with players jumping the transfer portal, this is, can the coaches kind of do something for themselves as well? I mean, we're in a different era of college football. And I think the fact that Jonathan Smith is an ex-Beaver, played for Oregon State. But, if I was him to explain it, this is an opportunity, that he wants to embrace. And he has nothing to be ashamed of, in my opinion, of leaving Oregon State. Look what he found when he found that team at 2018. What were they, 1-11? He's done some great things. I really think it's a good hire. I really do. But the only concern is about Midwest ties in terms of recruiting. I think the Mark D'Antonio template is huge. You've got to recruit Ohio, in my opinion, for Michigan State to succeed. And they could do that. And we got to hire some great recruiters, and that's how college head football coaches become great head football.
Arlen Barnett's brought in some players from Ohio, Cincinnati Princeton product. Rico, it's hard to find anyone who thinks Jonathan Smith is any less than an excellent head football coach. But in terms of fit, did MSU get the right guy?
Jack, they may have, because here's the thing. With Jonathan Smith, you don't have that, oh my God, he's going to go and win a national title in year 1 or year 2. You're going to allow him to actually come in here and build something. And looking at his resume, he coached a team in Oregon that was the second team in Oregon. Well, that's going to sound very familiar with him coming to the state of Michigan. He's going to coach the second team in the state of Michigan. So this is nothing new to him. And I looked at a lot of the people that he's brought from Oregon, and they do have ties to the Midwest. So he may not have it, but his assistant coaches do. And as you know, guys, the assistant coaches are the guys who really pave the road, and the recruits shake the coach's hand on the final visit, on that official visit, to commit to them.
I don't know if the Ducks called Oregon State players Little Beavers. I guess we'll have to figure that out. Rico, John C. Smith, as in Charles, is known as an excellent communicator. What else stands out about him?
Well, the fact that, Jack, he's bringing a lot of his offensive staff with him. And when I was reading an article today to kind of get some background, and when you see that, like a couple guys kind of wanted to borrow some plays and see how the offense worked. One was Andy Reid, the other was Kyle Shanahan, because they run that motion offense. I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe you have something here. Maybe we'll see scoring. Maybe we'll see fun. Maybe we'll see this team not get destroyed by any ranked team with a number next to their name. So, I look at this, and I think that this could be a good fit. You give him a little bit of time.
Right.
With the 12-team playoff, he may be able to jumpstart this thing in maybe 2 to 3 years.
Tom, Jonathan Smith's 6 seasons as boss of the Beavers, pretty impressive numbers. Is it hard to believe this program once had 29 straight losing seasons, as was considered the second worst Power 5 job in the country when he came in 2017, ahead of only Kansas? But there you see his record in the pandemic year was 2 wins, same as Michigan and Michigan State, and took over that 1-11 program, and there you see him with 3 straight bowl bids.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to a lot of Michigan State people. The naysayers are, we want to get bigger, higher kind of people. They look at that 34-35 record, but when you look at that graphic, it's where he started. And I think, when I heard him interviewed, I think before he took off and landed here in East Lansing, was the fact that there's a lot. He admitted there's a lot of work to be done, and there is a lot of work to be done. Let's be real. That Michigan State team, I saw, guys, this is West Michigan State. That was one of the worst team's performances in terms of lack of execution and lack of effort. A lack of effort, which they had some good effort. That was bad. That was
Tom, the
bad.
beauty of it is this: if you missed the first time against Washington, you got to see the sequel, you got to see the trilogy, and then they came out with the 4th part. Only they did it in Ford Field. They did the prequel at Ford Field.
Yeah. But 53 total. Yeah. So this guy. He's probably looking at his chops. I'm at ground zero here.
But here's the thing about those established coaches. If you think about the Lincoln Rileys, the Brian Kellys, those guys, Jimbo Fishers, they rarely work out. And you look at Kirby Smart and you look at Jim Harbaugh. It took them some years to become the coaches that they are.
Yeah, 53 yards, the lowest total in MSU football history, outgained by 533 yards. That is the greatest disparity. Tom, if there was one good thing about Friday night's massacre, it was a surprisingly large crowd of more than 51,000.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more games in Detroit.
Yeah, I don't like it personally on the Friday night of Thanksgiving week because of the high.
Right.
I'm watching high school football on a Sunday. I mean, I'm having a hard time with it. Okay?
But it doesn't have to be that weekend.
Yeah, I understand it. But think of a Michigan State alumni that live in Royal Oak. I mean, Rico lives down. He knows the alumni Michigan State has in Oakland, Southeast Michigan is unbelievable. I mean,
right.
And
what you're going to see, that thing is going to happen because it was successful. That's a new tradition. I don't know if Michigan State's going to be a part of it, but I got a feeling they're going to play that Friday game at Ford Field. Because if you can get 50,000 people for a bad team, imagine that team is
That was a great litmus test, I thought, on with that fact of having that much turnout.
And don't be surprised if we get a Big Ten championship game there in the not too distant future. Rico, due to flight difficulties, lucky you were not there for the carnage. Is it possible, just remotely possible, that Penn State is better than we thought?
No. Michigan State is just that bad. It was a countdown clock to the end of the game. I don't think I'm sharing anything out of the when my radio partner texts me like, oh my God, I'm like, hey, Mike, the clock says 15 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's 15 minutes until this is over. And then you're done. And you don't have to look at this. Oh, it's done. No, Penn State is not. Penn State is a bad team. They can't beat the big boys in the conference, but they can beat up on the bottom feeder. So congratulations, you stole Canes and Walkers from a retirement home.
Rico, against 4 top 10 teams this season, and we know that it was the toughest schedule in the country, but against these teams, Washington, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, only outscored 170 to 10. Need we say more?
I would make that the code to get into the building. If I was Coach Smith, I would make the players remember that, and they would have to punch that number every time they walk into the building.
I like that. All right, Rico. Final mark, 4-8. That was actually one game better than in 2016, the year after the college football playoff appearance.
Right.
Can you pick a high point and a low point?
I think the low point was probably after the Richmond win and Washington week. That's Mel Tucker whole debacle. High point probably was Indiana and doing it on the road and getting that first win, and maybe even the Nebraska game with Harlan getting that first win.
All right. Tom, flashing ahead to 2024, looking at what Michigan State has, they have a trip to Eugene, Oregon, and they'll be playing in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Is a winning season within reach? If you can see those games, but there are some what Jerry DiNardo calls matchup games.
Well, you know, with the and how Jonathan Smith exercises this portal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a quicker fix. I mean, it's not like a college basketball quick fix,
right,
but a college football quick fix can get you competitive level. And I think Michigan State, it depends on what kind of players they get.